It rests well on the palate. Hi there, Coach Sage of VO2 Max Productions here with another training talk. Today we're going to be talking about kind of determining your easy run pace, a phrase I like to use a lot, and building your aerobic base, but also in determining other paces. And I know I've covered this in previous training talks. Follow the playlist, training talk topics, training talks, Sage running training advice. I have playlist collections here on the library of videos that we've now amassed, but yeah, we'll dive right into it. Basically, the easy range pace, I always say easy running, and then I go to conversational pace. And so the conversational pace is a good definition, I think, because it's something that takes into account your breathing, kind of. And if you were out running with a friend, you're able to carry on a pretty in-depth conversation without, huffing and puffing. You could have, the sentences could be flowing, in-depth conversation. So you're breathing at a level where you're not breathing very hard, so you could talk most of the way. And if you're going up a hill, that takes things into account, as well as running on the flat. And your pace might vary, but it's going to depend on your breathing rate. Now, if you're out by yourself, you could count your breathing rate to your stride rate. So in general, we call it a 3-3 pattern. Maybe every 3 steps you're exhaling, and then 3 steps you're inhaling. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 with inhales and exhales. The general way to do it. It might even be a 4-4 breathing pattern, whereas generally when you cross the threshold, you're talking about more of a 2-2 breathing pattern with the number of steps you take per exhale and inhale. Now, if we go to heart rate, heart rate data, I like to use it. I wear the heart rate monitor a lot. I believe there's a lot of error in heart rate monitors, as I've seen some crazy things on Strava. But there's also, a lot of people don't know their true 100% maximum heart rate, because they've never been tested. 220 minus your age is very, very rough. I've seen huge variation in that formula. So any number minus your age is kind of an arbitrary guesstimate. So I wouldn't rely on that too much. But if you do know some relative heart rate percentages and relative efforts, you could say maybe 65 to 70% of your maximum heart rate is a good range for easy runs. Now, easy recovery runs, it could go even slower than that. I don't believe in the idea of junk miles. I think you could go as slow as you need to go on recovery days, true recovery days, and it could be a minute a mile or 40 seconds per kilometer slower than other days where you actually might feel pretty good, and you might push the pace a little bit more into kind of a zone closer to up tempo, is what Sandy and I would call it at sagerunning.com, to kind of a steady state type of pace. And so that there's a spectrum, is what I'm saying, with easy days, whereas a true recovery day might actually be a slow jog, or might be a day of hiking or something where you don't even push at all, and it might be closer to 55%, 60% of your maximum heart rate. I think it's pretty hard probably to get below that if you're actually even just jogging, because you'd basically be walking. It would be really hard because once you start moving, that heart rate starts going up. But that's another parameter you could take. Now the final thing you could do to try to dial in on the easy run pace is say, hey, what's my pace per mile or pace per kilometer? And there's a lot of charts out there that'll tell you that based on a relative race performance. A lot of times if you've done an all-out race, whether it's a 5K, 10K, half marathon or marathon, you could kind of deduce from that race pace what you averaged during the race, if it was a decent race and decent weather conditions on a decent course, what your flat running, again in decent weather conditions, what your flat running paces might be, all relative to that. So for a lot of people, an easy run pace, let's say with the marathon, their marathon pace, depending on what time range you're in again, but generally an easy run day pace is going to be at least a minute per mile slower than your marathon run pace. For me, example, I was trying to train for a 5:15 per mile marathon pace, but a lot of my days are actually closer to 7 minutes per mile. When I was doing the road running it's probably 6:45. So it's about a minute and a half per mile slower than my marathon pace. Now, if you run the marathon in, let's say between 3:30 to 4 hours, your easy run pace might be a little bit closer. Maybe you could roll out the door within 30 or 40 seconds per mile of your actual marathon pace. And it depends on your experience level and what mileage range you're at. But let's say you're running 20 or 30 miles a week probably. You know, a lot of people, when they get into the sport, they'll roll out the door at that's their marathon goal pace basically, which I won't advocate. I think you should go a little slower. But the spectrum of paces is a little tighter depending on what time range you're in. So that's a bunch of different ways to determine your easy run pace. And I know in other talks I've talked a lot about step up in intensity, the lactate threshold, intensity level, and how to determine that pace, because that would be kind of the next jump up when you start doing what I call significant, or what I call workouts. And you know, a lot of people, I think there's confusion in the term workout, and that's why I say easy day versus a workout day. The easy days are these easy paced relaxed runs, whereas when I say a workout, and granted these are all kind of workouts, I'm actually talking about a day where you're running at a higher intensity, and maybe you're doing intervals. Maybe you're doing something like a 20-minute tempo run, or a really long run. So it's something that's kind of different from that general aerobic base building easy day or recovery day. So a lot of confusing definitions out there. I just wanted to throw that out there with determining easy day pace. Now, the other part of the question we could get into is determining your race pace for an ultra race. And you know, it's going to vary a lot with ultras. I think that'll probably be a separate talk. But I did see someone had posed that question and it got some votes. So, you know, keep the comments coming. I do want to do more and more of these training talks as we progress throughout this year, because all the support you guys have provided on here, growing the channel, sharing this on social media has really helped me out a lot. And I want to do more of these. This is fun. I really appreciate all your comments. So feel free to comment below with future training talk topics, as well as vote. Thank you to all the Patreon supporters. I really couldn't do this without you guys, so it's a dream come true. I feel really fortunate, and really do appreciate your comments and all the likes and shares and subscriptions. You can follow me on social media at Sage Canada on Twitter, Instagram, and now Snapchat. On Snapchat I'm kind of learning, but I'm going to probably post more of my just food intake and food stuff. So follow along at that, at Sage Canada. Be blogging more about nutrition, sagecanada.com, as well as stay tuned for training plans on our website, sagerunning.com. It's a coaching business that Sandy and I run. So thank you for all the support. Really blown away. It's a great community to be a part of, running community. I hope your training's going well, and stay tuned for more via 2Max Productions.